Lemonnier was a man with one child. His wife had died. He loved his wife very much and was always good to her. He was a good and honest man. Lemonnier fell in love with a poor neighbor. He asked her to marry him, and she said yes. He had a good job selling cloth and thought she loved him for who he was. She made him very happy. He always looked at her with love. During meals, he made many mistakes because he was looking at her. He would laugh and say, "I love you so much. It makes me silly." She would smile but sometimes get tired of his attention. She would say, "Be sensible. Eat your food." For 5 years, they had no children. Then she told him she was going to have a baby. He was very happy and stayed with her all the time. His old nurse had to push him outside to get fresh air. Lemonnier became close to a young man named M. Durtour, who knew his wife for a long time. M. Durtour often came for dinner and brought gifts. When the baby was born, his wife died. Lemonnier was very sad, but the baby gave him strength. He loved the baby very much because it reminded him of his wife. The baby was all he had left of her. He kissed the baby a lot, but also felt sad because the baby's birth took her away. Lemonnier would watch his son in the cradle for hours, thinking about many things. When the baby slept, Lemonnier would cry. The child grew up. The father never left him alone. He stayed near him, took him for walks, dressed him, washed him, and fed him. His friend, M. Durtour, loved the boy too. He played with him, tossed him in the air, and tickled him. Lemonnier was happy and said, "Isn't he a darling?" M. Durtour hugged the boy and tickled him. But Celeste, the old nurse, was not kind to the boy. She got angry at his pranks and the men's attention. She said, "You will spoil him." Years passed, and Jean turned 9. He could hardly read. He was spoiled and did what he wanted. He was stubborn and quick-tempered. His father always gave in to him. M. Durtour bought him toys and gave him cakes and candies. Celeste got angry and said, "You are spoiling him. This must stop." Lemonnier smiled and said, "I love him too much. I can't resist him." Jean was weak, and the doctor said he needed better food. But Jean only wanted cake. His father gave him cream puffs and chocolate eclairs. One evening, at supper, Celeste brought soup. She said, "This broth is very good. The boy must eat it." Lemonnier, scared, looked down. Celeste filled his plate, and he tasted the soup. He said, "It is excellent." Celeste put soup in Jean's plate. Jean smelled it and pushed it away. Celeste, very pale, quickly poured a spoonful into his open mouth. Jean choked, coughed, sneezed, and spat. He grabbed his glass and threw it at the nurse, hitting her stomach. Angry, she grabbed Jean's head and forced more soup into his mouth. He turned red, coughing and choking. At first, the father was too surprised to move. Then, he rushed forward, grabbed the nurse by the throat, and yelled, "Out! Out! You brute!" She pushed him away, her hair messy, and shouted, "You're mad at me for making him eat soup while you give him sweets?" He kept shouting, "Get out! Get out! You brute!" She yelled back, "You think you can treat me like this? That boy is not even yours. Everyone knows it but you. Ask anyone." The father stood still, pale and trembling. He asked in a shaky voice, "What did you say?" She replied, "I say what everyone knows." He tried to throw her down, but she was quick and strong. She ran around the table and shouted, "Look at him. He looks like M. Durtour, not you. Everyone knows it's the town joke." She left the house. Jean, scared, sat still. After an hour, she came back. Jean had eaten all the cakes and jam. The father was gone. Celeste took the child, kissed him, and put him to bed. She cleaned the dining room, feeling very worried. The house was silent. She listened at her master's door and saw him writing calmly through the keyhole. She went back to the kitchen, sat down, and slept on a chair. In the morning, she cleaned the house and prepared him Lemonier's breakfast. She waited for him to ring, but he did not. She got more worried and took the breakfast tray to his room. She knocked, but there was no answer. With her heart pounding, she opened the door and screamed. M. Lemonnier was hanging by a rope from the ceiling. His right slipper was on the ground, and the left one was still on his foot. An upturned chair was near the bed. Celeste ran out, screaming. The neighbors came. The doctor said M. Lemonnier had died around midnight. A letter for M. Durtour was found on the table. It said, "I leave the child to you.